Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us today. Thanks for the QiDAO guys to joining us as well. My name is Jose. I'm from the Metis team. I do marketing, I do biz dev, I do a little bit of everything, but mainly that. And I'm going to be hosting the spaces for you all today. So, Benjamin, Kila, I don't know if you'd like to give a brief introduction of yourselves to our community.
Yeah, sure thing. I'm Keela, one of the core team members at QiDAO. My journey into crypto started as an exotic dancer. Benjamin loves this story, but it started as an exotic dancer. My clients wanted to
Okay, Keela.
my my clients wanted a way to pay me without like their spouses knowing, and so they kind of asked me would I take crypto, and so I said sure. They helped me set up a wallet. And ever since that day, I just continued to dance and accumulate some crypto until one day, you know, I met Ben and a couple of other folks, and then we kind of dove deeper into
Okay,
the
Keela.
crypto space.
Okay, okay.
The American dream, baby.
The American dream, that's what I'm saying, man.
Okay, so for serious introductions, real interest into crypto. My brother was like really into crypto, and he would buy and sell like these gift cards because you could arbitrage them with Bitcoin. And I got hooked pretty early, and I went dove into crypto, did some startups early on. Some did well, some not so well. And yeah, met Keela and everybody through like hackathons. And yeah.
Well, awesome.
Yeah,
Now we know that
hackathon.
we don't only have knowledgeable guys, but we also have comedians in here. So get ready
Yeah,
for
the
a few
question
laughs
is
today.
who's telling the truth, me or Keela, right? It's
Yeah, true. Hackathon was actually the name of the strip club.
exactly.
Awesome,
Yep.
awesome. I think I've been there as well.
Nice, yeah. I usually spend
Yo,
way too much money on those.
so getting a little bit like aside from night dancing from and from sexy dancing, would you all mind elaborating a little bit on what's QiDAO for our community, and also not only what's QiDAO, but how is QiDAO related to these My Finance protocol?
Yeah, so I mean, go ahead, Keela.
Go for it, Ben. Go for it, Ben.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, if you're familiar with MakerDAO, they have a front end called Oasis, and then the back end that's called QiDAO. I mean, the back end is called MakerDAO. So we have a front end that's My Finance, and the back end that's QiDAO. It's pretty simple like that.
Awesome, awesome. So QiDAO is pretty much the protocol, and My Finance is what the users interact with, right?
Correct.
Awesome,
Correct.
awesome.
I
So,
guess Ben, you didn't explain what QiDAO actually is and how you would use
well, go for it, Keela. It's your time.
it. Yeah. So again, very similar to Maker and Dai. We QiDAO allows you to kind of take your or use your crypto as collateral to mint stable coins. So what that really allows you to do is it allows you to use the value of tokens that you want to keep, like for example, Metis. You're long on Metis. You think Metis is going to go to moon. You don't want to sell it, but then you're just sitting on value. What we allow you to do is deposit that Metis, mint mint my at 0% interest, and use that my however you like. You can use it to farm within the Metis ecosystem. You can use it to bridge and explore other chains if you wanted to. You can use it to lever your Metis position. Or even if you wanted to like off ramp it and use it for new pair of shoes, or to fix your car. Whatever you want to do with your stable coins, it's up to you. But QiDAO allows you to use your tokens values without selling them.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks for that amazing explanation. That's that has that's a very kind of like a important use case because specifically for blockchains and tokens that don't necessarily have a native staking, for example. And by the way, this is completely NFA. I'm just making an example here, but take Metis as an example, which doesn't have a native staking as of right now. And once you have that Metis, maybe you want to earn some yield on top of that, but you don't want to sell your Metis, or maybe you don't want to engage in permanent loss of that Metis. So that's a very good case, or a very nice alternative for you to deposit or lock that Metis and actually get some stable coins that can allow you to have a lot more use cases, utilities, to say that way. So kudos to QiDAO for that. I think that's very important use case, and especially like in current times. I was also wondering, since I have both of y'all right here, what is the use case, or what was the functionality that you all use the most of QiDAO? Or maybe not the one that you use the most, but the one that you like the most, kind of like use cases for QiDAO, for my specifically.
Yeah, I mean, personally, what I use the most is, I have a lot of tokens that I'm holding long term, like my ETH bag, I have other bags. I mean, not financial advice, right? But I have my tokens that I really like. But I mean, I'm also not dumb. I don't want to just have them there and not earn any interest, right? And so I use my as kind of like a single-sided staking for all these tokens. And also if I want to off-ramp, right, like there's no way I'm selling my ETH, right? So this is a great way of off-ramping some stables without having to sell the assets that I really like.
And then also, again, I don't know, again, I am not financial advice worthy, but for a lot of people, selling tokens incurs like a taxable event, right? When you borrow, ooh, I think there's an echo here. Sorry. When you borrow against your tokens, there's actually not a taxable event for some people, and depending on the country, that's the case. And so, if you're trying to minimize like tax burden, it might be something that you can look into as well.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's like, personally, that's exactly kind of like what I'm eyeing at the moment, like what Ben was mentioning, kind of like that similarity to a single staking type of product. And I heard that actually what Metis got was QiDAO V2 and not QiDAO V1. I was wondering if you all could elaborate a little bit on that. I've heard that V2 is even a little bit safer, and maybe, I mean, this is subjective, but I've heard it's better. So I don't know, what could you all tell us about it?
Because we love you more.
Yeah, I mean, Metis got the newest of the newest lending in all of crypto, right? I mean, QiDAO V2 is as isolated as lending can possibly get, right? So, your collateral doesn't touch anyone else's collateral. Your forward funds don't touch anybody else's forward funds. We can't touch your money at all for any reason. That's something that was already at the core of QiDAO V1, but where we took it farther with QiDAO V2 is that now we're making it, much, much safer in terms of like liquidations. Because what you'll see with like every single lending platform out there, and I mean like every single one, after a certain amount, that the collateral to debt ratio falls, right? Liquidations don't work anymore. And, this can lead to bad debt. And so we've created some fallback mechanisms to where, if the price really swings down on a collateral, we're still able to ensure that that liquidations occur and that money is still backed by collateral.
Love it. Yeah, like that's also like that. Correct me if wrong, but that has in big part to do with the over collateralized nature of the my stablecoin, right?
Right. Yeah. Because we have to make sure that there's more money backing right, than there's like my in existence. Otherwise,
Yeah.
Then there's like not really the value of mine.
Yeah, I love it, because a lot of people always like think exclusively on how can I maximize profits, and like they want to be able to use kind of like their whole collateral, and not only borrow kind of like on a providing 150 collateral by over collateralizing, but they want to borrow more, And at the end of the day, it's also very important to keep in mind that this is a product that kind of like also takes care of you, in a sense, kind of like, if like one of the things that personally I like caught my eye from the very first moment was the borrowing rewards or borrowing incentives that QiDAO or My Finance was offering for healthy loans, you know? And I love it because that kind of like encourages users to practice safe kind of like DeFi practices, if that makes sense. Like it takes or it changes a little bit that notion that DeFi users or DeFi degens, like they're sometimes called, have to like used to have. Oh yeah, like let's go all in, and actually these kind of like encourages them to do a little bit more thinking and to, you know what, actually practice kind of like a safe lending habits, and you're even gonna get rewarded by it, you know. So like again, kudos for that. That's something that really caught my eye. If I didn't describe it exactly the way it is, feel free to correct me and kind of like yeah, explain it a little bit better.
No, you definitely got it correct. I would just say that, yeah, I mean, we are not really a degen protocol. Like we have pretty safe, like, risk management. We even have like people within the community whose job is to constantly monitor not only the risk rating of the collaterals that we have, but also the liquidity on every chain that we're on to ensure that, always, we can have good liquidations. So yeah, we try to stay on the safe side. But yeah, borrowing incentives, I think, is one of the coolest things that we brought to Metis right now, because you're minting MAI against Metis, right? And you're getting paid 200% APR, and we're not charging you any APR.
Yeah,
So it's
correct.
like, it's not financial advice, but it's a pretty fucking sweet deal if you're
Yeah,
holding Metis.
no, correct. So just to kind of give people who are listening that may not be too familiar, if just for minting my like through Metis, you'll be paid, like you get paid to mint my, and then also you're minting that my at 0% interest. So all that APR goes straight to you, and then that doesn't even account for what you can go and do with your my afterwards. So you're getting paid to mint it, and then if you go and use that my to yield afterwards as well, you're kind of getting double yields or yields at multiple fronts.
You're getting a fat arbitrage between the yields that you're paying and the yields that you're getting paid.
Oh boy, is it fat! Yep.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
certainly love it. Like that's why I'm like very excited about QiDAO like coming to meet this. And I was wondering, is there any? I mean, there was also like some other things that I wanted to include. Now that we were talking about actually like like over collateralization, kind of like safe lending practices. But I'm gonna save it for the end. I wanna pivot a little bit to: is there any plans that we could know about kind of like a potential collabs, like collaborations with other like applications in Metis? Any other applications that you've been talking to, or any plans to that we might see in the near future? Again,
100%.
if we're allowed to know, right?
Oh yeah, don't worry. We like alpha at QiDAO. And we're trying to connect with as many projects as possible in Metis. We're not going to be one of those protocols that just comes in, dumps a couple of smart contracts and then, calls it a day. Right. We already have plans to integrate with Hummus, with NetSwap. Obviously, Beefy is one of our closest, project friends. And other projects as well. I mean, MayaDAO, right?
MetisDAO, yeah.
MayaDAO, they've been very nice to us, and yeah, I think you can already earn, stablecoin yield from on MayaDAO. So shout out to them. But yeah, just connecting with as many people as possible is the idea here.
Hell yeah, I love it. That's exactly what we're looking for in our ecosystem. Kind of like that interconnectivity between all these protocols, and actually create kind of like like each of them being part of a big machine that kind of like works together, you know, and works for the better. So
Right.
yeah, like I love what you're saying. Love that you're in talks with many of the protocols that I personally like. So I was wondering, what could we expect, or if anything, like, do you have any solid plans for like the roadmap of QiDAO for the rest
Yeah.
of 2022? Or yeah, okay, you can go ahead. You can elaborate on that if you can.
Yeah, I think specifically for Metis, what we are going to see because of my is, a rush of liquidity. Because right now, if you want to bridge value, whatever token it may be, from Polygon, from Harmony, from, I don't know, from Solana, right? You have very few options, if any options, right? But with you can bridge from 20 different chains, right, into Metis. And for free right now, thanks to Uniswap or multi-chain. So right now it has never been easier to put money in Metis. And I think because of that, as we start to see more like liquidity on chain for Maya Metis, you're going to start seeing more people bridging and buying different tokens on Metis. And I think that's just going to help out the general ecosystem more. So that's specifically Metis.
Well, I think also we're looking at possibly adding different collaterals or more collaterals on Metis. So few things that are on top of mind are WETH and then WBTC. So those should be coming to Metis pretty soon. I mean, I don't know how much I'm allowed to leak here, so I'm kind of like.
Don't worry, Kila. I'll stop you when you get too close to the sun.
There might be some really juicy borrowing incentives for minting against WBTC and ETH coming very soon.
Guys, I do hope that everyone has their volume up like speakers at max, because these men are spitting alpha.
Yeah, so the team at Metis is definitely fantastic, and kind of working with them on helping get more and more usage out of WBTC and WETH on Metis, and yeah, just keep an eye out. You will very likely see some fat borrowing incentives.
Yes, yo, we love fat borrowing incentives, friend. So we're very excited.
And to be honest, like Akila said, you guys are pretty good as a team, and we're in a lot of chains, and we interact with a lot of different like foundations and projects, and not everybody kind of gets it, right? Like this collaboration game of, we have to support dApps, we have to, connect them with other, projects. Not a lot of teams get it, but like I think the MetisDAO team really understands that, and that's the reason we've seen so much growth in Mai so far. And I think that's the reason we'll continue to see more growth for Mai on Metis.
Yeah, 100%. I think some teams, they just want to build a chain. Other ones want to build like an ecosystem and kind of a network of really cool projects and people. And I mean, Metis is definitely the latter, looking to build like an ecosystem and really driving for collaboration. You guys have been fantastic. So if you are actually thinking of launching a project, like Metis team has been fantastic.
Guys, I gotta say, I'm blushing. But yeah, like I love everything that you all are saying. Like I'm actually thinking about like getting a clip of these last 60 seconds and just like replay it. But yeah, like thanks a lot. That's exactly what we're looking for. We're striving to kind of like get all our builders everything that they need and encourage them to connect with other builders. At the end of the day, like innovation isn't supposed to be kind of like a game of everyone kind of like on their own side and no one has access to information. It's kind of like it's collaboration, I think, that leads to innovation. And in Metis also, like there's a lot of other ecosystem and chains where there's kind of like competition, but not really healthy competition. Here in Metis, we love healthy competition. And we love just all these factors that can push projects to become better while also the whole ecosystem becoming better. It's mutualism and we love it. So I like one last question that I have. This is kind of like more a me type of question, but since y'all already touched a little bit on kind of like that similarity, like the front kind of like MakerDAO having their front end, QiDAO having their front end, my finance. Just wondering, is there any potential plans in the future to explore real world assets type of collateral as they've been doing? just kind of like some type of integration, kind of like with Web2 or TradFi. It's just pure curiosity.
Yeah, I think we're never close to anything. To be frank, that's not something we're actively pushing right now, just because there's a lot of other collaterals to be had. There's a lot of other integrations to be done within
A lot of
crypto.
priorities right now.
Yeah, I mean, we're focused on automations right now. We're focused on, on ramping, like, making it easier to use the system that we created. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely on everyone's mind. Real world assets. Keela, do you have anything to say about that?
I kind of just echo what he mentioned. I mean, I think it's one of those things that is definitely interesting to a lot of people. It's it's something that we definitely keep an eye on. But yeah, again, there's a lot of ground still to cover within like the Web3 space. So that's kind of our focus. Dabbling within like you had mentioned, kind of dabbling within like Web2 space as well, or integrating kind of with Web2. Yeah, we've done little bits and pieces of that. Like for example, we had a partnership with Celsius and whatnot. But I think we've all kind of seen what happens with I call them kind of Web2 companies, kind of centralized Web2 companies. But yeah, they haven't had the best of times lately. So I think just focusing on what we're doing, adding more collaterals, kind of growing our piece of this pie. That's where we're focusing on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, like I mean, at the end of the day, DeFi has been already proven like highly superior than CeFi, like throughout the last
Correct.
couple of months. Like
Right.
we've seen it over and over.
I mean, it
And
helps that CeFi is insolvent, right? So
Yeah.
pretty easy to be bigger than a hole in the ground.
I mean,
but I love what you all said about kind of like setting y'all's grounds, kind of like a lot of grounds to cover, because I mean y'all are killing it, and I don't want y'all to deviate from that. I love kind of like all the things that I'm saying, and I love what I've been hearing throughout this space, kind of like where you all are heading to, you know. And I
I
mean,
appreciate it, man.
for those who missed the little piece of alpha that they were sharing about the Metis ecosystem, we ain't gonna repeat it, so you might as well just go back once we finish the Twitter Spaces.
Yes.
And yes, sir. I
Yeah.
don't know. Go
Mhm.
ahead, Benjamin.
Yeah, actually, we had some questions for you too, because I see that there's a few people from our community as well. And actually, we have the leader of our very famed Optimism Alliance, which is a subset of our DAO that pushes for us to do more stuff on optimism. So I think this is a perfect place to talk about how Metis is different from other L2s and, why people should be building here.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, perfect. So first of all, kind of like Metis is its priority or its focus is creating this ecosystem and also back kind of like closing the gap between Web3 and Web2. We want to facilitate the onboarding of Web2 companies into Web3 and not only facilitate their onboarding, but actually being able to create an environment where they can interact with these Web3 applications as well. Like you said, an ecosystem, but pretty much on steroids for whatever like we've seen so far. And how are we aiming to get there? First of all, through our smart L2 architecture, like we're closing the gap between now and sharding in some sort of sense. Since traditional L2s like Optimism, they once a transaction is submitted, like the whole data is posted in L2 in the L1, kind of like the Merkle tree root, state root, and transaction data. So for Metis, what Metis is doing is since this process that I just mentioned, it's I mean ideal but very costly. We are just submitting the Merkle tree root and state root, and the rest of the information is being submitted in Memolabs. Up to this point, you would ask, "Hey, yo, but like this sounds pretty much like a Validium up to me." Yeah, sure, but that's because I haven't talked about how we introduce the game theory aspect into the tech, and a very this is a very innovative kind of like a effort in which if the data like the data can always be retrieved with the Merkle tree root and the state root. But if the case was that the memolabs was compromised, or that the sequencer was trying to either censor or act in a malicious way, the L1 validator can always just oblige this sequencer to post the data on L1. So pretty much there is, even if the sequencer tries to hide the data, like there's not going to be a way. And if they try to act maliciously, they have to bond, like there's not going to be any incentive for them to act that way, because they have to bond the same amount of money as the transaction that they're about to submit or take care of, you know? So it's a matter of not having any type of incentive to act maliciously. So that piece of tech, in which instead of submitting the whole transaction data, part of it is submitted somewhere else, it's complemented by this game theory not allowing sequencer to act in a malicious way. So this way we have reduced transaction fees to under 1 cent, while keeping the same security as, or the Ethereum's underlying security. This is one of the main things that we're doing right now, like to separate ourselves from the rest of the L2s. But besides that, we're also introducing a reputation power matrix. This reputation power is like, the idea is to create, just like you said, I don't want to like be repetitive, but an ecosystem. Like an ecosystem, what does it mean? People that work together pretty much with a common goal, common interest, and like all trying to make the ecosystem better. So we also have skin in the game. We vote, we interact, we engage with different platforms. And it sucks that a lot of times these people that actually have skin in the game and interact and have a lot of effort put into the ecosystem end up being obliterated by whales that come in and vote. And maybe they have no interest in staying in the ecosystem, but just kind of like big investors that come, buy, vote, dump, you know? And at the end of the day, this is not ideal also. Like all ecosystems need whales, but this is not ideal. So what we're trying to introduce is a system in which all the people that have skin in the game, creators, builders, users, they can be recognized as such, as part of this ecosystem, and give them a voice, instead of the classic token, like coin voting systems that we've seen not being 100% efficient throughout like the last couple of years, that we've seen these DeFi and DAOs and crypto kind of like concepts, you know? So that's another thing that we're introducing. And lastly, we're introducing our DAC framework. Our DAC framework is going to be pretty much what's going to help us onboard all these Web2 companies, which is a framework for Web2 companies to go into Web3. It's kind of like a smart contract template that allows them to do all these geeky, like techie things in a super friendly way. Pretty much username, password, and a portal. So it's like taking all the good things from Web3, but facilitating them and putting them in a context in which Web2 enterprises can understand them and use it. But one last piece of information, I hope I didn't overwhelm the listeners, but one last piece of information is our policy middleware. Our policy middleware is going to be the one-click, no-code deployment that is going to allow all these enterprises to actually utilize the DAX and fulfill this vision that we have. I hope that answers the question.
Definitely, man. I mean, I'm pretty excited about Metis, and I think that's the reason we're here, right? Particularly the people. I mean, I'm technical, but for me, it's more about like, who's behind the project. And the Metis team's incredible. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we had a Metis alliance brewing in our DAO, Gila, right?
Yeah.
Hey, love the idea, brother.
Wouldn't be surprised at all.
So I don't know, like, if there is nothing else that you all wanna know about Metis, I don't know if we wanna bring up some like people from the audience to ask questions that they might have. Is that okay with you all?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Let's get it. Is there anyone that has any doubt, any question they want to make? I see some of the Metis biz devs as well. I see Matt over there. You want to jump in the call, like, to speak?
What's up, Matt?
More than welcome. let's give him 1 minute to see if there's anyone kind of shy, waiting to
I
ask
think
their question.
everyone's busy borrowing my against their Metis. So that's what's going on here.
They're raiding my finance right now.
Yes, sir. There's going to be a debt ceiling today, so we're going to increase it because people keep, capping it. So we're going to increase it again today.
Correct.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that.
I guess I do have just maybe a quick question. Like, I know we discussed it before, many people kind of hopped on, but like with some of the hacks that have happened with bridges from Harmony, and then what we saw kind of yesterday with Moonbeam, is it like, do y'all think of anything differently when you start to see those things, or do you guys does that change kind of like your path forward, or anything along those lines, or is it just business as usual and kind of don't focus on?
Well, to be honest, I mean, as everyone here may know, we've had our little share of that type of exploits. So we've gone through that experience, and yes, we definitely keep an eye open for all this type of news and what happened, how it happened, how it could have been avoided. And yes, we definitely look a lot at what happened in our ecosystem to make the proper changes as well, and make sure that there's nothing that has to be repeated. So, responding to your question, we don't necessarily act we're not necessarily acting immediately after hearing about this last hack, but every time that we listen to something that might be concerning to us or that might affect us one way or another, we definitely take the precautions, and we definitely try to mitigate all the risks.
Yeah, that's what I assume, because I mean, through conversations with your team, you guys are very, safety focused and security focused. So that's good.
It's gotta be, brother.
Yep.
That's why we love QiDAO as well.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Well, I see that there's no one eager to make questions. Maybe there's a few shy people, but hey, feel free to ask any questions in our Metis Telegram, Discord, in QiDAO. Guys, what are some of the QiDAOs, main channels?
Yeah. I mean, Discord is the best if you guys want to go there. I mean, we even have a Metis specific channel, so you guys can give ideas and anything like that. I hang out in the Metis Trader, Telegram group. So if you tag me, I will answer.
Hell yeah! I'm taking notes. Awesome. Well, thanks, Ben. Thanks, Keela. Thanks so much for your time.
Pleasure.
Thanks so much for enlightening our community on what's QiDAO, all the benefits that it brings, and what a powerhouse you all are building, and hopefully keep building in the Metis ecosystem. So again, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for everyone to stay along with us, and have an amazing day, everyone.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Talk soon.